The signing the Fever must make to keep Caitlin Clark happy. Which player should Indiana bring back in 2026? Clark's return from a lengthy injury brought a serious dilemma for the Fever's front office. The 2025 WNBA season is now behind us. Although next season is still 6 months away, the work of the Indiana Fever front office is just beginning, and their first order of business will be bringing back a guard who can complement Caitlin Clark's work on the court. If there's one lesson the Fever learned this season, it's you can't have enough guards on the roster. Starting with Caitlin Clark, the injuries that plagued the team at this position nearly derailed their season. It was only thanks to the willpower of the rest of the team and the talent of head coach Stephanie White that the Fever made it to the postseason. What's more, they were a hair away from reaching the finals. However, the front office can't get complacent and must gather support at a position that is vital to White's playbook. The Athletic insider Sabrina Merchant has the first candidate for the position, Ari McDonald. Clark and the Fever need McDonald. The team Clark left for the entire season after tearing her groin in June isn't the same one that reached the WNBA semifinals. Players like Odyssey Sims and McDonald changed Indiana's face. The defensive identity they leaned into with Odyssey Sims, with the replacement players they had to bring in like Ari McDonald and stuff. Like that's just a different team than the one with Caitlin Clark leading at point guard. Now that Clark is on the verge of returning, the front office faces the challenge of maintaining a balance between the team that reached the postseason and a roster that can revolve around Caitlin. However, analysts like Merchant insist that McDonald should be a priority in the rebuild. Although she arrived on a hardship contract, the fifth-year player has shown that she's not only a good backup to Clark, but can also have a major impact on the scoreboard. The Fever's priorities this offseason. The Fever currently have 2 major problems. First, 7 of their players have become free agents. This includes McDonald and star forward Kelsey Mitchell. Second, like the rest of the league, they won't be able to make any signings until the new collective bargaining agreement, CBA, negotiations are resolved. The team is very clear that retaining Mitchell is their top priority. However, analysts warn that McDonald would be a major addition to their roster and an invaluable support for Clark in the backcourt. The Indiana Fever are no longer a rebuilding story. They're a movement. And at the heart of it stands Caitlin Clark, the sharpshooting, swagger-filled rookie who brought not only her deadly range, but an entire generation of fans to the WNBA. She's not just a player, she's a cultural reset button. But as Clark's first seasons wind down and her stardom continues to rise, one question looms large for Indiana's front office. Who must they bring back, or bring in, to keep her happy, hungry, and winning in 2026? To answer that, we need to look at more than stats. We need chemistry, vision, and a shared hunger for greatness. Because what Clark needs isn't just another scorer. It's a partner who amplifies her magic. The Clark effect. Clark has transformed the Fever from a struggling franchise into must-watch television. Merchandise sales, ratings, and ticket demand have soared. But the Fever's success doesn't only depend on Clark's highlight reels. It depends on whether Indiana builds a roster that fits her strengths: speed, spacing, and basketball IQ. Her court vision is generational. She thrives when surrounded by players who cut hard, space wide, and finish confidently. Think of her Iowa days with Monica Chinano or Kate Martin. Players who read her eyes before the pass even left her hands. In the WNBA, that level of synchronicity is gold. Which brings us to 2026, when free agency will again test Indiana's roster stability. The chemistry connection, Aaliyah Boston. If the Fever's front office wants to keep Clark happy, the first and most important move is keeping Aaliyah Boston long-term. Forget big names from other teams for a second. Boston is the piece. The Clark-Boston duo is the cornerstone around which this franchise's future should be built. Boston's presence in the paint gives Clark the freedom to experiment. Defenders collapse on Boston, Clark finds space. Defenders step up to the arc, Boston eats inside. It's basketball symmetry at its finest. Their inside-out balance already mirrors some of the league's historic pairings. Re-signing Boston in 2026 is more than a basketball move. It's a declaration of intent. It tells Clark, we're building around you, and we're keeping your perfect co-star. But what about role players? Championship teams are built on depth and trust. Clark doesn't need an entire roster of superstars. She needs connectors. Players who fill in the gaps, defend hard, and understand her rhythm. Lexi Hull is one such piece. She's grown into a defensive spark plug who reads passing lanes like a free safety. Her chemistry with Clark grew visible as the season went on. Those quick backdoor cuts, those hustle plays that turn the tide of momentum. Bringing Hull back in 2026 would signal continuity. Nalissa Smith also deserves mention. While she's had growing pains adjusting to Clark's tempo, her rebounding and mid-range touch are invaluable. If she can improve her perimeter defense and off-ball movement, Smith could evolve into the Fever's version of a stretch four that perfectly complements Clark's spacing. But there's still a missing piece, a veteran voice with championship experience, someone who can stabilize the locker room and guide the young stars through the grind of expectations. The dream signing, Kelsey Mitchell, re-sign her, don't lose her. If Indiana allows Kelsey Mitchell to walk, they'll regret it for a decade. Mitchell's silky scoring and leadership have kept the team afloat through years of transition. Now, with Clark by her side, she's no longer burdened with carrying the offense alone. And that's when she's been most dangerous. The Clark-Mitchell backcourt is already evolving into one of the league's most electric duos. Clark's gravity opens lanes for Mitchell, while Mitchell's scoring forces defenses to play honest. Their synergy doesn't just work on the floor, it works off it. Mitchell has embraced Clark's arrival with grace and competitiveness, a combination that can't be faked. If the Fever want Clark to feel valued and supported, they can't let that bond fracture. In 2026, the top priority beyond Boston must be a new contract for Kelsey Mitchell. Give her the years, give her the money, give her the respect. Potential outside additions. Still, if Indiana wants to level up to championship contention, they might need one more connector. Someone from the outside who thrives on high IQ basketball. A few potential 2026 targets could fit that mold. Courtney Williams, if still available, brings veteran grit and playmaking. She can shift between guard spots and relieve Clark of constant ball-handling duties. Jackie Young, if she ever hits free agency, would be the dream. A versatile scorer, elite defender, and championship-tested guard who could form a three-headed monster with Clark in Boston. Or perhaps bring back a familiar face. Someone like Katie Lou Samuelson, who can stretch the floor and run with Clark in transition.